Again, and welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters, son of a... Oh, what that's it?
That wasn't in the budget.
It's right here! Oh. I am Mike Galetta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner Brian the Ranger Tard, bringing you another solid special about the NFL. And that's right, Philadelphia area. We're bringing it to you now, better late than never. Here comes the Philadelphia Eagles coming at your face. Today, we got... I'd like to say local guy in the area, but he's a little bit from West Effort. That's okay, because he's here in the Sports Box in studio. Joe Martino. Joe, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. And you know what? Only winners. Only winners come on this show.
Winners.
That's right. Brian, stab me. Let's talk Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles. So they finished 7-9 last season. That was good enough for second place in the NFC East, but not good enough for a playoff spot. They were 14th offensively on the ground and 12th through the air. Pretty bad defensively. They were 32nd against the run and 28th against the pass. Reminder, there's only 32 teams in the NFL. Big splash in the draft. They went with Carson Wentz, quarterback out of North Dakota State, with the 2nd overall pick. They also added Leotis McKelvin, Chase Daniel, Rodley McLeod, and most recently Stephen Tulloch through free agency, and parted ways with a lot of those Chip Kelly guys, DeMarco Murray, Kiko Alonso, Byron Maxwell, and Mark Sanchez, who has a very loose hold on that job in Denver. The Chip Kelly era in Philadelphia is over. Doug Peterson takes over the reins. His first head coaching role, he came from Kansas City, where he worked with former Eagles head coach Andy Reid. As I mentioned, many of Kelly's acquisitions have been sent away. Kiko Alonso and Byron Maxwell went to Miami. DeMarco Murray is hopefully going to find new life in Tennessee. We'll see about that. Traded a lot to move up to number 2 to get Carson Wentz. They sent 2 number 1s, a 2, a 3, and a 4 to move up to number 2 to pick up, hopefully for them, their franchise quarterback of the future. But a lot of controversies around the team in the offseason involving Sam Bradford. He was signed to a 2-year deal prior to the move to go get Wentz. He thought he had something he was going to be working towards in Philadelphia. Not so much. They ended up kind of, whatever it is he's playing. But the expectations for the team, especially in the local area, seem to be kind of tempered going into kind of an uncertain season. So Joe, Chip Kelly's gone.
Chip Kelly's gone. We're all still having that Chip hangover.
Yeah.
And I think that's really holding us back. And when you bring a guy in like Doug Peterson, there's a lack of gravitas. There's a lack of a presence, an emotional presence, and maybe he's doing that for the team, but it's certainly not getting the fans jacked up as of yet. Winning is cures all. So we don't know whether it's a rebuilding season or whatever they're doing. We don't know, and that next few weeks, we'll go to week 1 and we'll see. We'll win that one, and then we'll start talking Super Bowl again.
Well, I'm not talking Super Bowl.
So Sam Bradford's got the job again this year. Again, there was a lot of questions on the offseason as to where that was, which way is that going to go. Not a great season last year, I think the writing's on the wall for him as far as he's probably not going to be in Philly for very long. What are your thoughts on him this year?
I got my thoughts and my hopes. My thoughts are that we see what he is. He is what he is. He's an above-average quarterback, top 15, maybe top 20 in the league. But this year, this time there's no excuse because you have a very quarterback-friendly coach. You have a full, healthy body right now going into the season, and what I really do like and I will hope for is that he's got a huge chip on his shoulder. He's going to be a lot different mentality coming into the season. He's going to be a little angry, and for the first time, nothing's just handed over to him. He's got 2 guys waiting to come in, and he's either A, playing angry to stay here, or B, he's playing angry for a new contract for another team. So hopefully he can take that anger and generate some positives for this team, and we'll see where it goes.
I think one thing that's kind of working against him is the situation with Lane Johnson. I was having a conversation recently with one of the Sports Box's biggest fans in the local area, John Domenico, and he made a really interesting point about Lane Johnson, that you don't really know what you have with him now that the PEDs have kind of come around again. Like, what is his natural ability, and you know which way to go. I mean, how do you solve a problem like Lane Johnson? Do you cut him?
No, you don't cut him. You don't cut him. I mean, what's sad is 2013 Lane Johnson, 2014 Marcus Smith, 2015 what's the name? Aguilar.
Yeah.
So you're looking at you cut him, it could be very well 3 straight first-round picks gone,
Yeah.
and then you got Wentz, who we don't know when we'll see the field. Hopefully, mid-season at the earliest.
It's kind of Browns-esque, isn't it?
Right.
Missing all those
I'm
picks.
not saying the people right there, but he's average at best. He's above average offensive lineman, and for an offensive line that is aging and has a little bit of holes, no, you don't get rid of him. Now, if something does happen, and the Eagles can get out of that contract, and they can save $35 million, so that is reassuring. If something else does happen down the road this season, 10-game suspension. Yeah. Hey, he'll have his legs under him, but otherwise than that, I don't know. The thing is, my fundamental rule is don't need to draft an offensive lineman in the first round ever. I mean, unless it's some kind of freak. But they're found all throughout. Todd Herman's played his life here. There's pieces of him all over the field, and there's other. I'm sorry, Trey Thomas. He was a first round. I was trying to think of another one, but they're found all throughout the draft, and a lot of others that go undrafted that are solid offensive linemen. So when it comes to offensive linemen, I really don't like to. Eric Fisher, one of the Chiefs. How great is he? He was the first pick in the draft. And, you look back at that, and all the players that Andy could have went with, instead of drafting an offensive lineman, the first pick of the draft, and followed up with Wayne Johnson. And I know it can be a crapshoot at times, but over and over and over again, it's proven about the offensive lineman and the trends throughout the whole rest of the draft.
You talk about the running situation. Matthews is there, obviously. You have Sproles and aging Sproles. I don't know how much he's going to touch the ball anymore. Kenyon Barner has gotten a lot of carries these couple preseason games, but my big question is, where is Wendell Smallwood? Here's a guy they drafted high to get in there from West Virginia. Good player, hasn't played in 2 games. Will we see a lot of him in Game 3? And what's his future for this team?
I think we will see a lot of him in Game 3. Doug is going under that. He's the substitute teacher for Andy, and he's taking everything that Andy has shown him, and it's keep them guessing and everything else. Now, it comes to Ryan Matthews. He's coming in strong, healthy, like always, and he's going to miss a couple games probably. That's fine, because he is a very good running back. Sproles doesn't have a step to lose. He has 2 or 3 steps to lose. So even if he does lose a step, he is still a solid 2 or 3 years left on his team. I really do like Kenyon Barner. I watched him thoroughly last year. I don't like how he got a little bit of butterfingers, big fumble against the Patriots. And another important point is that he seems to drop a lot of screen passes, which is going to be a huge play in the Peterson offense. But as far as I know, Smallwood, a little bit of character issues, that really does humble a person, as I like to see with other people being humbled that they picked up. And this is his shot next Saturday against the Colts. So we'll see what he has. But I really do anticipate he's going to get a nice 2 quarters of running.
You talk about the wide receivers, and this team is I don't want to say decimated. I think that's too strong of a word, but lacking the wide receiver ability to get downfield and get open. I think that's what's hurting Sam Bradford and himself, and whoever's in there. I think it's hurting too, because these guys just can't open. The thing that scares me a little bit more is you got rid of the offensive lineman. Was it Tom Kelly? You got rid
Dennis
of
Kelly.
Dennis Kelly. Thank you. Got rid of Dennis Kelly, and you got back Green Beckham, Darrell Green Beckham, which is fine, because I think Green Beckham could be a good player. The problem is, Kelly was a terrible player, terrible offensive player. How much credibility do you see getting rid of a guy like that and them giving you Green Beckham? Do you think this guy can turn it around, or is it just going to be another mental case that the Eagles are going to have to try to rebuild again?
Since when has Tennessee become the all-be-all of making decisions?
I agree. I agree.
All right,
but this guy had high hopes. I mean, this guy has got talent. He's 6'5". He can jump out of the building. I mean,
It's a 4.45. He has more catches and yards than 5 out of the 6 guys drafted ahead of him last year. Who was the one?
Including Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, including Nelson Aguilar.
Correct.
And he's going to be a deep threat, big time red zone threat, and he's going to be able to stretch the field very well for them. When you stretch the field very well, it's going to leave Jordan Matthews to play room, and here I'm going to say it, Ruben Randall. Another character guy.
Yeah, I was going to say if he makes a team.
Another character issue. If we could go back and have the NFL, not have wide receivers, and not have to deal with that kind of player that just seems to be all about them and not about winning. But we don't. We have to live with it. It's and he seems like to be saying all the right things and doing all the right things. It's only been a week,
right?
But this has to be a humbling situation for him. 1 minute you're first round pick,
high second,
and the next minute you're gone after a pretty good rookie season. And how does that happen? And you were right there with Mariota too. You were going to be groomed with him, and now you're out on a team that might be in a little bit disarray. But you have a fresh start with a coach that seems to be him and the GM seem to be more lenient with these type of caliber players and dealing with them. And
what's funny, I'm sorry to cut you off. What's funny, a side note is that Root Randall, all likelihood, might not make this team. How does Josh Huff stay on this team? I don't care if the guy's really thick. They're both terrible.
Josh Huff's
I got more game than Josh Huff, and I got some skills.
But to your point about Green Beckham, to me, that's a no-lose trade for the Eagles to get a guy with any potential at all. You might have cut that scale.
I don't think they're done yet either. What Howie seems to be doing, and I can't believe I'm liking what Howie's been doing. He seems to be getting a mentor almost at every position. Every position has someone that's teaching the system, and I think they're. I don't know exactly which name. You wait to see who's out there in the next couple weeks. Maybe that'll be another wide receiver. Bolden he had interest in, obviously, and then he ended up signing with the Lions, and we'll see who else is out there. But it just leaves it open. Like there has to be that guy that can be the senior advisor of the wide receiver corps. Now, Jordan Matthews is a great mentor to have on a team. He's only a third-year guy, but he said he works hard, does all the right things, and he's going to get 90 balls, 100 or 1,000 yards, and probably again just because of his physical appearance alone, he's going to get 10 touchdowns. And I like to think the same for Dorian Green Beckham. He'll end up probably close to 1,000 yards, and I like again, size alone, you're going to get 10 touchdowns. It's like having Zach Ertz at wide receiver running a 4.4, 4.5, and Aguilar. He came in, and I was like, there's no reason this guy can't be what Fred Barnett was. There's no reason, and I don't know. Maybe it's the University of Southern Cal. Every person, Chip haters were praising Aguilar. Chip haters were praising Aguilar, and I was like, this guy has to easily be 1,000-yard. 8 to 10 guy, deep guy, and I don't know, maybe he just doesn't run the right routes. I don't have that discriminating eye on talent when it comes to wide receivers and why they can't produce the way they did. He made a couple big catches the other night. One followed up with a very bad drop ball, and Huff. I don't unless he has some kind of big game here or there. I don't see him being on this team. Paul Turner, that seems to be everyone's favorite.
I realize a guy I never heard of because there's something different.
This year is Rashad Bailey, local kid from Temple, and I wouldn't even count him out. He's on the Jaguars, and then he just got picked up by the Chargers, and it's not all said and done. If he doesn't make that team, who knows? He might end up back here again.
I think what the Eagles have really been missing, though, and since Deshaun Jackson left, is that deep threat.
Yes.
If Green Beckham can become that, and you move Matthews into the slot, he is going to catch 100 balls because he's going to be open. It's a matter of getting somebody on the other side as well. And if Aguilar can become a half what people thought he could be, it's going to be such a big thing for them to have threats. Because with the offensive line in the situation that it is, and Bradford's going to be running for his life to begin with, you're going to need these guys to make plays. And again, I thought it was a great move to get the Green Beckham. There's no risk whatsoever.
It's funny you say that he's going to be running for his life. What I do, I caught myself yawning every play the other night, and I'm trying to think how different. I know, again, it's the Andy Reid offense, and it's the Andy Reid offense in the preseason, but it is a dink and dunk offense predicated on getting rid of the ball very quickly. So hopefully that will take away from Bradford having to run for his life. Not that he really gets a lot of stuff. He did turn the corner the other night. That was
you talk about the defense. You talk about Fletcher Cox getting a new deal with Benny Logan. Our front line I think is solid. Linebackers maybe a little bit of depth there. You're going to look. They bring in Tulloch this week. They're secondary. Where do you go with it? You're looking at McKelvin, who's Good back there, can anchor it up. You got Carroll, can row in there. What do you see the secondary for the Eagles? Because the Eagles, it looks like this year with the offense, playing the way it is, they're going to have to be a top 10 defense to slow some teams down.
I love Schwartz's defenses through the years. They may not have it statistically, but they've all been very impressive defenses. And you're coming into a city that I think is really identifying with Schwartz. He's the one with gravitas. He's the one, that emotional coach that really fires everyone up. And again, we all learned, you don't take too much out of the preseason. If you didn't learn that way before, we all learned it last year. But the these guys are just giving them opportunities to make turnovers, and they are. You have to be impressed with that, and that's what they do. And the D-back situation, sadly, these two safeties together might be the best pair of safeties since Dawkins and whoever.
Malcolm Jenkins back there. Yeah. I mean, they got a solid defense back there.
That's their strength for sure.
That's their strength for sure. McLeod is a hitter, and we knew that coming in, and seeing it the last few weeks. He did make a couple fundamental errors going for the man rather than the ball a couple times, but now's the time to make that.
Sure. It's just got to concern you a little bit with the corners.
We worry about the corners, and at the same time, it's got to be better than what it's been. And I think every team has a hole, and I don't think the corners are going to be that big a glaring hole. Granted, we do have to go against some pretty good wide receivers in this division, 2 times a year. But when you line it all up with that front four that you're talking about, putting the pressure on the quarterback, the linebackers coming in with the wide 9, and you're getting linebackers that actually fit the wide 9, and they line up in the wide 9 when they should, rather than on these running downs and the guy just falls forward for 5 to 8 yards. So I think the corners are going to benefit from the rest of the strengths, and you build from there. Leonis McKelvin, he's 31. Jalen Mills, McKelvin teaching Ronnie Brooks the position, and look forward to that. Nolan Carroll, I think every year he was not that much here 2 years ago. He didn't do too much. Last year I liked him. I really did, and it really doesn't give you a clear picture of how good you could put the 85 Bears on that field, the 91 Eagles last year, and they're just not going to be as good as what you anticipate them to be, because they're constantly on the field with 1 minute off the clock. So you'll get a real fair assessment on what these players can do now where they're off the field for 3 to 5 minutes. And the Grimes kid, we'll see if he can make the team. He made a nice play the other night, hurting his shoulder. Linebackers, Tulloch, I don't know what took him so long.
He wasn't doing anything, right? He wasn't hanging out anywhere.
He knows the system. He's 31, and he can still play. He is going to be what Trotter was 2004 to 2006. Not very good laterally, but he's going to be able to get right after the quarterback, shoot the hole right away, and hit. And that'll be really good, teach the rest of the linebackers what their roles are in the wide 9. Najee Good, I love, because he can play anywhere. Yeah, you like that one linebacker, you can just stick to where they're supposed to be, but where linebackers might be hurt or whatever, it's great to know that he can fill in that spot. Jordan Hicks, again, he's kind of like the Ryan Matthews of the defense, meaning he's probably going to miss a game or two, and I still don't know how he tore his shoulder or whatever last year against Beasley. I was like, are you kidding me? But that's why the Eagles were able to get him where they got him, because he was known to have injury problems, and Kendricks, again, injury problems. So there has to be consistency, there has to be health in the linebacker corps, but overall I don't see why they're not a top 10 defense, and possibly 5, and that's really going to be predicated on how well the offense is doing, how much of the lead, how much of the time do they get to play with a lead.
And, and to that point, I think, the big question for the team this year is, will the fans see Carson Wentz on the field? Everything you hear is he's going to get redshirted, not going to play this year. But if the wheels kind of fall off this thing and they're out of it maybe at some point by week 10, week 11, whatever, in your opinion, do you think that we're going to see Carson Wentz make his debut this year, or is that a 2017 story?
If we don't see him this year, well then Sam Bradford's doing really well. And that, like I said, winning cures all.
Sure.
We will see him this year.
A lot of honesty in that right there. I like that.
I don't see how you don't. And from what Chase Daniel was showing you, I can't believe how much money they gave him. I don't why. I mean, you want him here. Who else was? What competition did you have to sign Chase Daniel? And it's just completely ridiculous that he got that money. And I don't see how you keep Wentz at third, with this happening. So he will get his opportunity to play. The fans will become restless if they are losing, and you got to watch Chase Daniel. There's no reason that this kid doesn't make his presence somewhere. I'm going to say, looking at the schedule there, I'm going to say it's going to be home. Let's go Monday night against the Packers.
Well, that's getting to my point with the schedule. You talk about the schedule, the first 4 of the games for the Eagles. 3 of them are definitely winnable games. The Browns, the Bears, and the Lions. I don't think they beat the Steelers. And they had that bye pushed in there, too. Then you get down to the meat of the schedule, in the middle of the schedule, or near the end, you talk about Murderers Row. They go to Seattle, they come home for the Packers, and they go to Cincinnati. Is this team going to be able to weather that storm and possibly have a shot at a wild card after going through that storm?
I think everyone has a shot at the wild card. The league is so full of parity anymore that you are legitimately in it. Last year you saw how bad they were, and yet there they were, week 15, still in it. Yeah. So excuse me. After that, you want to see where you're going to find, the wins and stuff like that, the definite losses. The Eagles are probably going to go. Optimistically, I'll say 4-2 in the division. More like there'll be 3-3. Okay. And any game they have at home, I still, you feel like you got that home field advantage. A little biased because I have season tickets.
You want to keep some value to it,
overall,
right?
Joe, where do you see Eagles end up?
8-8. I see him at 8-8. Possibility of 9-7.
Okay.
I do see him 8-8, and I think defense does carry them to that. Unfortunately, they're going to have to win some of the games. They're the ones that are going to have to put up that difference, that score, to win the game for them. And but I'll tell you what, that's what our identity is. That's what we've always been, and that's not a bad thing. And just go out there, manage the game, move the ball, don't make mistakes. That seems like what it'll be for Wentz when he comes in. But the kid has every attribute you would want in a quarterback. I'm not going to be there to say he's going to be, he's injury prone already and all that. Every quarterback has had. We just don't have 4 years of film on him and stuff. So he has an injury. Oh my gosh, he broke his wrist that year, and that was like his only college year starting. So therefore, it looks a lot worse. But he came back strong. He's got a concussion. A lot of them have concussions, and this whole thing with the rib, it's not like he wouldn't have been playing on Sunday. And he's going to be fine. In fact, that he got hit and was still able to do what he did after. Still, running around all over the field is very, very encouraging. He seemed like he got rid of the ball very quickly. I think a lot of the times, which is a little concerning, is most of the completions were out of the pocket. It was the second guy, and now granted, what's he throwing to as well? It seemed like that was everyone.
He wasn't playing with the ones,
right. So, but at the least, what we can say is Carson Wentz belongs. And that's what we got at the first audition. He belongs in this league.
He better be after the number 2 pick in the league.
That's a lot.
So that's all the time we have.
Thank God, because I'm between the Cowboy fan and this Buccaneer.
Hey! You're in studio.
He's winking at me. At least you could put me with the other guy.
Was he getting loud in Sports Box? Was he getting loud?
Have we not been more than welcoming?
Exactly. I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway,
we could very welcome you.
Yes.
That's all the time we have for the Sports Box today. The Philadelphia Eagles. I want to thank Joe Martino coming in the studio. Joe, thanks for coming in and talking about the Eagles today.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for taking time with a Cowboys fan and a Bucs fan to talk Eagles football. We appreciate it.
You should only be honored. Anyway, that's all the time we have. Keep an eye out. We got some good things coming.
Make sure to follow us on social media. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at SportsBox Show. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so that when we have stuff like this, you're the first to know about it.
Absolutely. And we'll give Joe a note before he leaves that the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is right here. Thanks for watching, folks.
Come on!
See you.
Don't forget to subscribe.